by default, these are going to be blank. So when we come in here, your first time, you're going to hit Restore Default. And it's going to say, do you want to update this terminal? I'm going to say yes. If I have more than one terminal, then it's also going to give me that same message for each terminal. It's going to say, do you also want to update POS 1, POS 2, so on and so forth, and you should answer yes to that question. It's going to fill all of these in for me and just register this file for me. Now, the cool thing about this area is you have all the same ones in this first column that says POS functions. Works the same way, but you now have a functions one on the right. And these, if you haven't used it before or are familiar with it, these came from the menu items and pricing screen. There is a functions department, and we have moved a copy of those into here and have this list pre-populated for you. So the way you can think about this screen is you have your two horizontal buttons and vertical buttons that go next to your virtual check that you can fill in with any of these function buttons. You do not have to fill in every button. You can leave blanks. That is perfectly fine. But if you were to run out of room, let's just say, and we had used an item from this rightmost column, these ones can be made into menu item function buttons. So if I needed to save space, it's kind of a good way to separate it out. So I know that, oh, well, you know, if I'm using the frequent diner button and I would really love to have a different one in its place, I know that because it shows on the right-hand side over here, that I could also just put it as a menu item on my screen. Now, of course, it's going to work different than a menu item, but it's going to show on that layout instead of our function button layout. But it will work the same way when it is selected. There's a different setup for doing that, though. We would have to go to the menu items and pricing screen as well as its button layout to set that configuration. But this is just kind of a good way to just see at a glance if we were to run out of room, that the ones on the right could essentially go to our menu item button layout, as well as it just gives you a lot more to choose from to give the customer some flexibility in the function buttons they do use next to their virtual check.
And that's the idea, is to give you the flexibility now to put these function buttons either in that column down the middle, the two rows across the bottom, or to put them all or more of them in menu categories. I'm not sure if everyone knows too, when you place these function buttons in menu categories, if you name the button with manager in the name, then it actually requires a manager's access level to get inside that category to those function buttons. So you could have a bar functions, POS functions, and a manager functions, and the manager functions would automatically be restricted to only management.
All right, so when you make any of the changes here, you'll hit save. You will revisit this screen again later in the document to customize this, but to get your customer up and running, come in here, hit Restore Default, and save. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out, and I'm going to grab a new license file for myself, and we're going to try to activate our license again.